I broke apart this mirror to make this hall of mirrors, and we added this ring to create this photo. Come along for the process. I broke apart your common dorm room mirror into 6 equal pieces. I then used this translucent cutting board that I got from the Dollar Tree and some 2-sided sticky tape to put it all together, leaving gaps for light to come through. After I put it all together, I discovered it doesn't hold its form very good. So I 3D printed this support to give it some more stability. With a little bit of ingenuity, a whole lot of double-sided sticky tape, and a few Band-Aids, I was able to finish the Hall of Mirrors. I finally made it into the studio with my box of mirrors. What I got set up here is there's 6 mirrors, they're 3 inches wide, and they just make a long tube of mirrors. On the edges, I have some diffusion material, that way the light can come through. And on the back side is another mirror. And then the way I'm lighting it is I have 2 strip boxes blasting light in through these gaps right here. And I'm shooting with a probe lens at f14. So with shiny objects, it's kind of hard to get all the surfaces of the shiny object looking good. I usually like to take a plate, and that's usually where my object lives. And then I will take either like a white sheet of paper or a white board. I will move that around my object to be able to bounce light into my object and reflect it back into the lens. So for example, here I'm bringing this white piece of paper just over on top of this ring. It's going to catch the light, and then it will reflect into Cosmo's face, Cosmo the cougar, and reflect back into the lens. I will then take that one image and composite it into my plate. I only need certain parts of the ring to be looking good in each of these exposures. Now it's time to light the diamonds. And my favorite thing about this probe lens is that it's so easy to put a reflector around it. So I got this larger piece of white paper and I cut a hole in it. And I'm just gonna stick that piece of paper just over my probe lens and just basically mount it to my lens. And as I take this shot, you'll see this paper will catch the light from these 2 strip boxes and bounce it right back into those diamonds, and the diamonds will bounce that light back into our lens. And while I was doing this earlier, I discovered this is kind of my favorite exposure with this gold ring. Originally, my plan was to have a black background, and then I took the shot and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is way cooler than the background. It really lets this ring be the hero. And so in our final edit, we're gonna actually use this exposure as our plate. But now you can see those diamonds on the front side are pretty illuminated. And then the other thing I could do, I could tilt this paper so maybe the bottom is hotter from the light and the top is darker. You can maybe make a different kind of gradient in our background. We'll see if that works. A little bit too much, I'm missing the reflection, but you can kind of see how one edge of that hexagon goes darker and one is brighter, just moving my paper distance further from the light. I'm just going to extend the top of my reflection so it fills all the way through. We'll see what happens if it gives me a hard seam or not. I kind of like that gradient too. It gives a little bit variety to the hexagon. It's not full white, and it lets the little white stripes on the corners have a little bit more power. The other thing I can do is I can move this paper back off the strobe a little bit. Thanks PicPortal for sponsoring this fill card for this episode. Let this lean further away. That's the one. Later I'll go into Photoshop and composite all those separate images together into one image that will make the ring look completely lit. I hope you got some inspiration from this. See you in the next video.